I was weaving all around the road, and finally I just let go of the wheel and went straight towards a ditch in the road, and we started rolling. And later we were told that we rolled probably 7 times. And with each roll that I had, I remember thinking, this is it, I'm gonna die. There's no more for me, no more chances. But it stopped rolling. Everything was broken around me, all the glass, everything was everywhere. I was hanging on by my seatbelt. I wasn't even in my seat. If I didn't have that seatbelt on, I would be out on the road, but I was just tangled up in my seat and thinking, God, I don't want to die like this. I had just finished my EMT class, so I was EMT certified, and I knew by the sound of my lungs, I was like, this isn't good. I know they're filling up with blood right now. My name is Emily, and I survived a pretty horrific rollover accident, but I started off as a really good teenager, didn't do anything too crazy, but at 17, I started hanging out with people from work, and I got involved with one guy in particular that it was his goal to make me to corrupt me, and those were his literal words that he would use, like, I just want to see what you can do. And so I'd be like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I don't want to. I know that's wrong. And it took over a course of like 2 years, and what I had started out as and what I had become was night and day. I did everything that I thought that I would never do, and I started drinking, and that was something that I thought was so foolish, but that's what I had become, was a drinker now, and a partier, where you get off work at 8 o'clock and you go start and don't, go to bed till 2, and then you wake back up at, to go to work at 6, and that was just a whole cycle. We didn't eat food, we just drank beer and smoked cigarettes, and then I met somebody that I thought, okay, we're both coming from this partying scene, and we both want to clean up our act a little bit. We can do it together. And so he got deployed, and I stayed here in my hometown, and while he was gone, I went back to all that. And my cleanup was like, about a month, I think I lasted. And so he came back home, and he had gone out and gotten drunk with all his friends, and I went to go pick them up, and we went out to eat, and it was like 2 a.m, something like that, and I had met this girl in the bathroom of IHOP. She knew who I was, and she just started talking to me. How are you doing? And for some reason I just kind of let it all out. I didn't really know her at all. I just knew her name and where she lived, and I just told her, I'm not saved. I'm not living for God. I'm just doing my own thing, really. Kind of I hate it. Don't know how to get out of it. And she witnessed me. She said, Emily, why don't you ask Jesus into your heart? And I was like, I don't think I will stick to it if I do it. I don't think I'm ready. And so she's like, but what if you get hit by a bus? You walk out of this place and you die tonight. And my first thought was like, well, we don't have buses in this town, so I think I'll be okay. And I was like, I just said, thank you. Thanks for letting me talk to you. And we left it at that. When we left that place, we started fighting because, we had both promised that we're going to clean up our act, and we didn't at all. Like, he was partying out where he was, and I was partying out where I was. We weren't faithful to each other at all. And so, we were supposed to get married, and how can you get married and trust somebody when you're just so awful to each other? And so we were yelling and fighting, and finally I said, I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. And literally he laid down his seat, and we heard this screeching sound of the tires, and I lost control of the car. I was weaving all around the road. And finally, I just let go of the wheel and went straight towards a ditch in the road, and we started rolling. And later we were told that we rolled probably 7 times. And with each roll that I had, I remember thinking, this is it, I'm gonna die. There's no more for me, no more chances. But it stopped rolling. The dust settled, and everything was broken around me. All the glass, everything was everywhere. I was hanging on by my seatbelt. I wasn't even in my seat. It had just forced. So if I didn't have that seatbelt on, I would be out on the road. But I was just tangled up in my seat and thinking, God, I don't want to die like this. I know who you are, and I know that you can save me. And I want to live for you. This is real this time. And I had just finished my EMT class, so I was EMT certified, and I knew by the sound of my lungs, I was like, this isn't good. I know they're filling up with blood right now. And some guy came to the door, and he's like, I'm on the phone with 911, and help is on the way. And the guy next to me, the only reason he didn't die is because he had laid down his seat right before the crash happened. And the ambulance, I heard the ambulance come, and I knew that I was going to be okay, but that was probably one of the last things I remember. And then 3 days later, I woke up in Phoenix, and my aunt came in the room. I watched her walk in. I had a tube in my mouth. I couldn't talk or anything, and she just held my hand. My parents were there already, and they took the tube out, and the first thing she did was, Emily, pray with me. And so I prayed with my Aunt Rhonda then. And, God saved me from that moment. I should have died, and I think the seatbelt saved my life, but I know God ultimately saved me for a purpose. I always got my self-worth about who I was with at the moment and what I was doing. And so now, I surrender my life to Jesus, and Jesus gave me all of that, what I was looking for, but in such a better way than what I could have tried to do on my own. So now I have a husband that loves me. I have 4 kids that are beautiful and healthy. Just have a stable life that God has given me, and that is the biggest blessing to me, is to be surrounded with real people that really love us, and that my self-worth doesn't come from people anymore. It comes from Jesus. And the benefit of that is having people that love me for reals. After I got saved, I remember I was in a wheelchair, and I had dropped something on the ground, and I didn't cuss. And that was like my first, and then I thought about that. I was like, hey, I didn't say a bad word. That's different, because that was not my usual self, right? And so I noticed these changes that God helped me. I didn't want to go out drinking. I didn't want to do any of that. It wasn't appealing anymore.